Hello, Crochet Crew. My name is Michelle and I'm the creator of Bobble Stitch Queen. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad you're here. So in this video, it's more so of kind of going over of how my two markets went this past Friday and Saturday. Currently, it is Monday, September the 22nd, and I had it wasn't really a craft fair on Friday. I was just able to set up at an elementary school at their fall festival, and then Saturday was a craft show at a car show in Franklin, Kentucky. Let's just say Friday, I did way better than I did on Saturday. Like, Saturday was such a huge disappointment. But I'll go over a little bit of things and stuff. I did not get any video footage, one at the elementary school because there was just too many kids around and I wanted to protect the privacy of those kids. And then Saturday, it was just so stinking hot and it just was not a good show at all. But I'm going to go over a few things. Let's just say loaf cats are a big hit with me right now. So I'm going to keep making those. At the fall festival, I took 5 small loaf cats and I took 2 of the bigger loaf cats and they all sold. Every single one of them. So those were a very big hit there. I sold a total of 16 keychains. So the keychains were a big hit. I had 3 of my softball turtles and I sold all 3 of those. In fact, I had a couple people come up and ask if I had any more and I just didn't have the time to make more. So that's something I've got to make sure that I make for the next markets that I have in October, as well as I want to do baseball turtles. So those are a big hit. I'm not going over of like the names of the patterns or the pattern designers because those are in my previous videos that you could go back and watch of like my Monday's makes and stuff. My cross body bags were a hit at the fall festival. My video that I had before this of my inventory that I had, there were some things that I said they don't sell for me. I was able to get rid of them at this fall festival. I sold a total of 5 crossbody bags. The kids loved them because at this fall festival they had little games that they were playing. And I guess they needed something to put their prizes in. So they came and bought these crossbody bags from me. So I was so excited to sell 5 of those. I have 4 left. I won't make them again just because they don't sell well. And I don't want to hang on to something that doesn't sell well. My mushy pops were a big hit. I almost sold all of those. That deer that I was wanting to get rid of, finally sold it and got it out of the way. I marked it down to $15 just to get rid of it, and it sold. That stinking sitting turtle that I have, it did not sell, so I'm still hanging on to it, and I've only got it priced at $20, so I'm losing money on that turtle. And hopefully after these next 2 big shows in October, it'll sell. If not, I may end up donating it to my husband's school in their resource center or something like that. Coffee cozies, I sold a couple of those, but they are not a big hit. I told my husband if they don't sell after these 2 big markets in October, I'm giving them to him to give out to all the teachers or whatever is left to the teachers at his school just to get rid of them because I will never make coffee cozies. Let's just say beanies, they don't sell for me. I have 3 left that I'm trying to get rid of. I sold my Addy knitting machine, my big 40 whatever pin Addy knitting machine, because I was like, I only really use this for these hats. And yes, I have probably made my money back from just buying the machine, but I wasn't making a profit. So I sold my Addy knitting machine for like $100. and I still had the box. There were some things that hadn't even been opened yet because I knew that if hats don't sell for me, I'm not hanging on to this machine. And I sold it. So no more hats for me. My burger turtle sold. They really like that. I'm kind of just going down here at my list. I sold 2 of the Tooth Fairy pillows. My squish balls that I had, where you take the little squish ball out of the animal, I sold 3 of 4 of those. They love those. Sold that caterpillar that I was worried about that wouldn't sell. This little girl loved it. She came up and she's like, she had the caterpillar and she had one other item. And she asked me, she said, which one should I buy? And I said, I can't answer that question for you. I was like, you've got to pick the one that you like the best. Well, I can't decide. I said, well, I don't want to pick that for you. I said, let me ask you this. I said, when you hold each one of them individually, which one makes you happier? And she goes, the caterpillar. I said, okay, that's the one you need to buy. And she loved it, so she bought that. Because I don't want to ever make a decision for a kid of, you should pick that one. Because they need to find joy in my stuff and not because I'm wanting to get rid of something. So she said the caterpillar gave her the most joy when she held it. So she got it, which I was glad to get rid of. I finally sold that one pig that I've been hanging on to for a while. So I was glad to get rid of it. And then that's about it. So I did really, really well at the Fall Festival to just have been set up for 2 hours. It's one of my favorite shows because I do really well at it. Not show, one of my favorite events. But the next day for the Franklin Car Show, I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning because we had to be unloaded from our car by 7. So I needed to get up, have my coffee, do my Bible study, and just be able to get going and get there. And one thing I do love about this event is you're able to pull up right where your spot's going to be. They have volunteers and men that help you unload your car, set your tent up, put your weights on your tent if you've got them, set your tables up if you need help. So they are so great about that, and that is truly appreciated as a vendor because that helps a lot of being able to do that. So that was great for on that sense. But as far as the show itself, it ran from 9 to 3. And there were so many cars. So there was a lot of people there. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be a good show. And I did this show last year. And I did really well at it last year. So I thought this year was going to be great as well. But as I'm sitting there, it's not because it was lack of people. But I did notice that not a lot of people were buying. I think they were more there to look at the cars and stuff. But I think that this event had around 40 vendors, give or take a little bit. It wasn't huge because it was on the square, so they had one street blocked off, and vendors are on both sides of that street in their 10 by 10 tents, and it wasn't a huge, long street. And then they had a few vendors around the corner, and some of those were like food trucks and stuff, I believe. But out of those amount of vendors, there were 6 crocheters. 6. So yes, we did have different stuff. Like one crocheter used acrylic yarn. Another crocheter had a lot of the cotton yarn. But 6 crocheters. And get this. They had 4 of us in a row. And me being the 4th one. So 4 of us were in a row right here. And then the other 2 were across the street, across from us, with a few booths separating them. So we were all kind of like right there together. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I know you can't accept every crocheter, and I know every crocheter can't be at one end of the street where all the traffic is coming in. But you've got to have a limit on crocheters because this event is not that huge to have that many there. So about 1 o'clock, it dawned on me that where my booth was, which was almost to the end of the street, all of the cars and people were parking at that end, coming in. So I was the very last crochet booth that people were coming to. So kids were coming in. Oh, Mom, I want this. Mom, Dad, I want this. No, honey, we already bought something from that other crochet booth. And I was just like so upset inside because I did not do well at all. Let's just say I did about 6 times as much Friday at that fall festival in that 2 hours than I did in 6 hours at the Franklin Car Show. So, I mean, my 2-headed bunny sold. Like, if you've never done that 2-headed bunny, you need to do it because people love it because it's different. So I'm definitely going to make more of those for my upcoming shows. I sold 1 dumpster fire. The first thing that sold was Cash the Cow by April from the Cozy Buckeye. I had the little Highland cow. That is such a fantastic pattern, and I will definitely make more cows of that. Then one of the next things that sold not far after that was my standing capybara. That's by Stacy with Apple Tree Boutiques. So I'll definitely make more of those. So those were they're different, they're great. I will definitely make more of those in the different versions for my upcoming shows. So yes, I was very disappointed with how well I did. I did get a couple custom orders. A lady asked me if I still had my Grinch that I had, and I was like, no, it sold Friday at my event there, so she wants me to make her one, so I got to do that. And then somebody wants me to see if I can make a Paw Patrol character, which I don't have a pattern for, so I've got to look that up to see if I can do that. So I did get a couple of custom orders, which is great. The company was great. My sister came and sat with me and my youngest, because my youngest goes on these shows with me. So we got to socialize with her pretty much all day because she was there pretty much all day. So that was very, very nice. So thank you to her for coming and keeping me company. So that was definitely the perks of the show. I did buy something from the show, and I did buy something from one of the other crocheters because 1, I don't like working with this yarn. 2, I'm going to give it to somebody, and I've got it right here and I'll show you. But I bought this cute wreath right here. And it was only $15. So excited about that. And then I bought my daughter a couple of things from one of the other crochet booths because I can't remember her business name. Not Your Granny's Crochet, I think's what it is. And we've gotten to know her. This is the 3rd year that we've done craft shows with her. So yes, I was expecting her to be there. And my daughter, and she uses the acrylic yarn, and my daughter absolutely loves her stuff. And I always make sure, and she has it priced super, super cheap. So I made sure and we bought something. She had a SpongeBob that was about this big and a Gary the Snail about this big. And the detail on both of them was just fantastic, and she sold them to my daughter $30 for the pair, so couldn't beat that. So my daughter has a collection of her stuff that she has bought from this lady at the different craft shows that she's been at. So that's the wrap up for these 2 events that I had on Friday and Saturday. The plans, what are the plans next? I've got to get ready for these 2 huge shows next month. The first one is October the 11th in Russellville, Kentucky at the Logan County Tobacco Festival. First year of me doing this, and I had to submit, pictures and get accepted. So I was very thankful for that because I've heard this event is huge. Because I worked in Russellville. I worked there for 23 years, and I have only been to that tobacco festival once. once out of the 23 years. And that was when I lived there for about 7 months. And it was just one of those things. I didn't want to go to it because, you know, I worked there. I didn't want to visit the town on the weekend. And I've heard that there are thousands of people that come through to this event. So that is October the 11th. And then the next one is the Glendale Days, Glendale, Kentucky, a week later on October the 18th. About 400 vendors, 20 to 30,000 people that come through, travel from I don't know how far. So that's going to be a big one. So you can imagine the stress level that I'm going to have. So another thing that I try to look at on a positive note of Saturday's show of not doing so well is I thought, you know what? Maybe God is like, hey, you're not going to sell much, because if you sold almost all this inventory, you would be extremely stressed about trying to get the inventory built back up for these 2 huge shows coming up in October. So this way you've got a head start. So I looked at it that way because maybe that is the plan. Who knows? So I've got a good amount of inventory built up to get ready for these 2 shows. What I did yesterday is I kind of wrote out a list. I put Logan County, and then I've got to make one for Glendale. And I was looking at my current inventory, and I just kind of rough draft wrote down what I want to have for Logan County. Of course, loaf cats, because at the Franklin Car Show, I sold 2 small loaf cats out of my 4, or maybe I had 5. I can't remember. I sold 2 small ones, and I didn't sell any of the 2 big ones. So I definitely got to replenish my loaf cats, and I need to replenish my keychains and my No Fuss Friends, because I didn't have very many of those. But yeah, I kind of made a rough draft of what I want to do for Logan County, and then I'll kind of make a draft of what I want to do for Glendale. And if I could, I would like to have at least $2,000 worth of inventory for each show. How much inventory do I have right now? If I had to guess, I probably have about $1,200 to $1,500 worth of inventory. So I've got a lot to do. Can I do it? I don't know. I would love to be able to get that much inventory. I've told my family, you know, I'm going to be busy the next 3 weeks to get things going and ready for this show, but I know it'll work out. I've just got to stay calm, not feel so stressed, and just know that it'll be okay. It will be okay. So yeah, I just wanted to get this video out just to go over a few things of how those shows went. And the thumbnail of the picture is what my setup looked like at the Franklin Car Show. So that's how I did my setup. Another thing, speaking of that setup, is how the curb was. I had to put my black wire grid cubes that I normally put on my table. I had to do them and put them on the ground. And you'll notice that in the front of that one table, because how the road was, that back table was kind of at an angle. So I knew I couldn't put anything on that table that would flip backwards. And then the table that was on the side was kind of at an angle. So that's why I had my heavier crates there on that back table. But it's one thing, you've always got to be prepared when you go to a craft show, because anything like that can happen. And you've got to be prepared to switch things up and move things around. So you try not to stress when that happens. Just figure out another alternative. Always have a backup plan in the back of your head and ready to go. So I was glad I was able to get that figured out, because it was so hot. I initially started at my checkout area there in the front of the tent, and as that sun came over and was hitting me, it was so hot. I had to move to the back of the tent, then I had to move over again because the sun was coming through that way. So it was definitely hot, and when I was packing up, I had sweat just rolling off of me. And normally the heat doesn't bother me, but packing up was when I was getting really, really hot. So yeah, so the thumbnail picture is what my setup looked like. I'm going to try to do maybe shorts or short videos of, hey, how much can I get done this week? How many items have I done this week? This is what I've done, just to kind of keep you all in the loop. And I will definitely, hopefully, do some more filming at the Logan County show as well as the Glendale to show you all how big it is and the setup and everything. So yeah, I got that going and all that, you know, thinking about in the progress or whatever. But yeah, so if you've watched this video this far and you've made it this far, comment yarn. There we go. Comment yarn, just so that I know you've made it this far and watched the video this far. But I thank you all so much for your support and helping me make this channel grow a little bit at a time, like a snail's pace, but that's okay. And everything. And if you've not already done so, like and subscribe, share my channel, and I will be back with the next video. Until next time, bye.